Hey guys, welcome back to GC 365. This is day 54. I am Pastor Jordan, the middle school pastor here at Gold Creek Community Church, the Mill Creek campus specifically. And you are?
I am Kylie Rose, a longtime member here at Gold Creek. Volunteered in lots of different areas, starting way back in Courtesy Patrol through Kids Zone, junior high, and high school. So for a long time.
Yeah. He is someone that has decided to be just as crazy as me and be part of middle school and high school as well. And we appreciate everything that Kylie does for us. But jumping in, today we get to go back into Leviticus, the Levitical law, and looking at chapter 14. We'll also look at Mark 6 and Psalm 40 and Proverbs 10. But what I want to focus on for a moment is in this skin cleansing, part of it was shaving yourself, okay, in order to cleanse yourself. So you would be deemed, you'd have this skin disease and you'd be deemed dirty. So the priest would send you out and you wouldn't be able to touch anybody. You'd have to shave everything, okay, which you and we would thrive at least the head part, because that's like almost a weekly thing for us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The part that would suck though, okay, and we could both agree with this, is back then they didn't have, if you're going to shave your face nice and clean, they didn't have, sensitive Gillette for your face.
No, they didn't.
So the razor burn had to be real.
Yeah, that would be painful.
Just a little bit, right? The funny part is that you would know who had a skin disease because after they are sent out and then they came back, they'd have to be outside their tent, right? And before they went back inside their tent, they not only had to shave their head, they also had to shave their eyebrows. So everybody with eyebrows that are gone, you know that you have to.
Pretty obvious.
Hey, you had a skin disease. Like, that's kind of crazy. But I do want to point out a more serious part, and that was in 14:37 of Leviticus. And it talks about how if the priest went inside the house, and now we're talking about the house cleansing, that if he went inside the house and he saw that there was mildew, and he saw that it seemed to go deeper than the surface, then it was a bigger problem. Sometimes when it comes to our sin or our trials, that it always seems to go deeper than just a surface. Sometimes we put on a front that it is just surface level, but really it goes so much deeper. And that's when we have to examine what we're going through and how we do that. So how would you go about, how do we take care of those things that run deep in our life so that they stop taking hold of who we are?
Well, I mean, I think everyone's different, but I think what we're doing right here is probably the best step, and probably the first step is just get into the Bible on a daily basis. When you do that, you start to feel some of that guilt that maybe run a little deeper than surface, and you start to recognize that sin that you need to change. And I think just being in the Bible on a daily basis is a kind of a highlighter.
It is.
To really recognize what you're maybe not feeling great about and what you might need to change. So I think that's like probably the most important first step.
Yeah, almost like a daily reset button for you to realign yourself.
Well, it's the awareness too. Yeah. It's if you feel that guilt but you don't do anything about it, then nothing's going to change. So I think it's that reminder for you to dig a little deeper back into what's making you feel guilty or not so great. Yeah. That creates, a better habit on a daily basis.
Yeah. And addressing that, and how do I take care of that? Do I need to talk to someone? Yeah, that's really good, Kylie. Well, now moving on to Mark chapter 6. As you can see, we have our fish and our bread because we are talking about Jesus feeding over 5,000. And a little setup for this story: Jesus' disciples have just went on a mission trip, which, Kylie, Have you ever been on a mission trip?
Yeah, quite a few.
Do you ever come back just completely exhausted?
Yeah, it definitely takes a toll on you.
You want to sleep for a few.
But it fills you up too.
It's exhausting and fulfilling at the same time. It's almost like children. That's weird. And so you see Jesus's disciples come back, or they hop in this boat. They're going to go across the water because they need a break. But the crowd recognizes that it's Jesus, and they follow him along the shoreline. And they follow him to the other side, and this over 5,000 group of people is there when he gets there. And it gets to this point where it's getting nighttime. Chick-fil-A is about to close. Burger King is about to close. Chipotle, all the restaurants, they're about to close for the night. And the disciples say, hey, we need to send them out, let them go get some food so that they can fill up and come back. And Jesus says, well, why don't you fill them? Why don't you feed them? And the disciples' response in that moment is, with what? They say, with what? We don't have any food. What do you want us to do? And I think oftentimes we do this to ourselves as Christians. We're supposed to be the hands and feet for Jesus, for the kingdom. And yet sometimes we look in the mirror and we wonder, with what? How am I supposed to be the hands and feet for Jesus? With what? With what talents and abilities? Have you ever felt or wondered, God, how are you going to use me in this moment of my life?
I wish I could pinpoint one exact thing, but I really think that it goes back to that accountability. And, especially as a parent of 3 kids that all attend here, I'm doing my best to try to lead by example.
Yeah.
Try to be the foundation first, with Jesus being our focal point of, if he's the leader and we follow his lead, we're going to be able to get deeper into what we need to do to correct mistakes. Humans are imperfect. We as Christians, I think, are one of the biggest hypocrites, because what we say is not really what we do.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes back to what I said earlier about, daily reading.
Yep.
That Bible structure, I think, is our structure.
Yeah.
So I would say, I see it on a daily basis from leaders. I'm going to keep praying for our leaders of this country right now.
Yeah, for sure. That's for sure. And so Jesus feeds eventually with 5 loaves and 2 fish, not Swedish fish, or, it may have looked like a loaf like this, but he feeds this group of over 5,000. And when he gets done, he has 12 baskets left, as if to say, you aren't able to do this alone. You may have talents, abilities, and all of these things that you can do, but without me, you won't be able to succeed the way that I designed it for you or your life. And he has 12 baskets, 12 disciples, as if to say, you know what? You can't do it without me. And he didn't just squeak by. He could have, right?
Yeah.
He could have, we just have this like one little piece of bread left over from this whole feeding. Could have squeaked by, but he didn't. He has a goodie basket, essentially, for each disciple, saying, I'm not just enough, I'm more than enough. I will fill not only their baskets, but your baskets, and fill them and you, and use you with the how are you going to use me moment. And I'm going to use you more than you would ever expect. So that's what I want you guys to get from that Mark scripture today, is that Jesus is more than enough in filling you up. But turning now to Proverbs, I know that you said something stood out to you a little bit. What was that?
Well, it's where it says hatred stirs up quarrels, but love makes up for all offenses. And then in just the context of what we've been talking about, it kind of goes back to, we're going to make a lot of mistakes, tons of them.
Yeah.
And we do need help and support to recognize and then take the necessary steps to correct those mistakes, which I think eventually makes, you're bettering yourself every day.
Yeah. And you choosing love above all else, especially at this time in our lives with everything going on, is so important. You can't control everything, but you can control how you love and how you portray love to others the way Jesus taught us to. Final thing I want to connect on is Psalm 43. It stood out to me, and it connects directly with Jesus feeding the 5,000. And it says, "He has given me a new song to sing, a hymn of praise to our God. Many will see what he has done and be amazed. They will put their trust in the Lord." I believe on that day of feeding the 5,000 that many were amazed and they put their trust in this man, Jesus. Obviously, if they're following him along the shoreline, that's evident. And so I encourage you guys to put your trust in the Lord every single day, and you will be amazed at what he can do for you and for your life and those around you. Hope you guys have a great day. Thank you for tuning in.